Hi, it's Mark, top local lead generation in Vancouver, talking with Sheetal Gupta of Maharani Jewels in Vancouver. We're going to talk about what are fancy colored diamonds. What are they?
Hi, Mark. Thanks so much for asking. So we've all heard of white diamonds. White diamonds are those that fall into the D to Z color range. And just to remind you of what that looks like, I'm just going to remind you and take you over to GIA's scale that shows you what the D to Z color range is. So here you can see a white diamond, which starts at D, goes all the way down to a Z. You can see how it's a white diamond and has tints of yellow in it. But when you go beyond this scale into a fancy colored scale, it is beyond the Z. Therefore, when a diamond possesses color beyond this Z color, it becomes a fancy colored diamond, which can be exponentially more rare and valuable versus a white diamond. The other thing is that in the D to Z color range, what makes a diamond rare is the absence of color. Whereas when it comes to a fancy colored diamond, having more color is actually considered to be more rare. So that's definitely, what a fancy colored diamond is. Yeah.
So what colors do fancy colored diamonds come in?
So Mark, you can think of any color in the spectrum, and a fancy colored diamond comes in that. So in nature, you will find diamonds of every color, naturally.
And how is value determined in a colored diamond?
So in a fancy colored diamond, what determines value is the intensity of color. So the actual color grading scale is quite different. And again, I'm going to take you over to the scale that shows us some of these differences. Here, if you look at, this picture here is showing you a yellow diamond, also called a canary diamond. And you can see how the scale goes from fancy light to fancy vivid. Fancy light will have the least saturation of color in it, whereas fancy vivid will show the most color. And therefore, even if the diamond isn't large in size, doesn't have a high carat weight, but if it's a fancy vivid, it will certainly possess a lot of rarity and hence value. So fancy colored diamonds will definitely be the rarest when they are in the fancy vivid range.
And what colored diamonds are the most rare?
So the most rare diamonds are definitely going to be fancy pinks, reds, purple, green, blue, orange. Those are definitely the most rare. However, popularity does play a role in kind of value. So the pink diamonds and the blue diamonds are the most popular. Therefore, when you have a highly saturated pink, because of its demand and its popularity, it can command a greater value than some of the other rare colors such as orange or purple, because those are extremely rare but aren't as popular.
And how important is clarity in a colored diamond?
So when it comes to white diamonds, clarity is very important because you've got color, you've got clarity, you've got the carat weight, and of course you've got the cut. And the clarity is one aspect, which is just as important as the other. However, when it comes to fancy color diamonds, the most important attribute is the intensity of color. Therefore, clarity doesn't hold as much value. So you can have a highly saturated diamond that is, let's say, a highly saturated pink diamond. It could be a vivid pink, but it could also have a low clarity, but still be incredibly rare and valuable because the color plays a much greater role than the clarity.
Awesome, thank you, Sheetal. So if you're looking for great value for your diamonds, custom diamond design, if you're looking for honest expertise, world-leading expertise on your diamond purchase, the person to call is Sheetal Gupta. You can reach her at 604-727-0149. You have to call that number to book ahead if you want to go see her, and that's in Vancouver, or you can also check out the website, maharanijewels.com. The address is in the comments below. Thanks, Sheetal.
Thank you so much, Mark.